You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-Mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-Mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Thursday, 6th day of November, 2025. Michael's back in the saddle. He was in the live training room this morning, and he'll be joining us at the top of the hour for a recap of everything that happened this morning in the live training room, and maybe a little live trading. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first one is our live training room. That is reserved, though, for members only and those taking their 1-week free trial. When Michael joins us at the top of the hour, he'll walk you through the steps of taking the trial. It'll take you 3 minutes. We'll get your indicators up and indicating today. Your trial will officially start tomorrow and run all the way through next Thursday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern. The weekend does not count against your 5 days, and there's no credit card required. Now, you're not just getting access to the live training room 2 hours a day. You're also getting access to what we do the other 22 hours of the day. In other words, we treat you like you are already a member with access to everything for 5 consecutive trading days. No credit card required, because we want you to be able to make a well-informed, intelligent decision at the end of your trial as to whether or not trading is right for you. So again, top of the hour, Michael will walk you through the steps. Now, when the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break and come back for this broadcast, the noon broadcast, which is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways to join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way is you only got to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. Going forward, what will happen, every trading day you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In the email, there's a link. So 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email, and it will automatically log you into our platform. The benefit of doing it that way is you'll immediately have access to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there'll be days you're out of the office, away from your desktop, but you still want to join live. And some days you'll be busy. You can't join live, but you do want to get caught up later. Well, you can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. But all you need to remember is youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day, as we're doing right now on our YouTube channel, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 2,900 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. On the left side of the screen, you'll see our schedule for each afternoon broadcast. So let's dive into our daily devotional, which this is a big one, sharing your faith. It's a 28-day devotional, and I think we're in day 11 now. Today's scripture is 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 1 through 9. And today I'm going to share it with you from the NIV translation. I typically use the Message translation, but today it's the NIV. You know, brothers and sisters, that our visit to you was not without results. We had previously suffered and been treated outrageously in Philippi, as you know. But with the help of our God, we dared to tell you his gospel in the face of strong opposition. For the appeal we make does not spring from error or impure motives, nor are we trying to trick you. On the contrary, we speak as those approved by God to be entrusted with the gospel. We are not trying to please people, but God, who tests our hearts. You know, we never use flattery, nor did we put on a mask to cover up greed. God is our witness. We were not looking for praise from people, not from you or anyone else. Even though, as apostles of Christ, we could have asserted our authority. Instead, we were like young children among you. Just as a nursing mother cares for her children, so we cared for you. Because we loved you so much, we were delighted to share with you not only the gospel of God, but our lives as well. Surely you remember, brothers and sisters, our toil and hardship. We worked night and day in order not to be a burden to anyone while we preached the gospel of God to you. 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 1 through 9. Today's topic, sound barriers. Natural sound barriers must be broken to move deeper into spiritual conversations that lead to Jesus. The first barrier is at the beginning of the conversation. It is easier not to speak at all than to initiate a conversation. But once a conversation has comfortably begun, there's a second sound barrier. The second barrier keeps us from bringing up spiritual matters in the conversation. Once that barrier is broken, a new sound barrier emerges. It is easy to stay in general spiritual dialogue and often difficult to bring up the gospel. Finally, when explaining the gospel, we often experience a sound barrier that keeps us from asking for a response from the other person. Paul experienced fears just like ours, 1 Corinthians 2, but he did not allow them to hinder him from communicating the gospel. He loved people too much to keep him from sharing the most important message. Breaking sound barriers enable spiritual conversations to go deep. I encourage you to reflect on your conversations with the people on your 10+ prayer list that we did earlier in this devotional. If you didn't make up a list of 10, make a list. 10 people that you know you need to pray for and why. And now ask yourself, what level of conversation do you have with them? Plan on breaking the next sound barrier the next time you and that person have a conversation. Let's pray. Lord, thank you for calling us to serve, not for our own glory, but to share your gospel with integrity and love. Teach us to speak truth with courage, to work with pure motives, and to care for others as gently as a parent cares for their child. May everything we do reflect your heart and bring honor to your name. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, amen. Amen and happy Thursday. And when I say Thursday, I have to say tonight's members only workshop. So if you've been on the trial and you want to be in that workshop tonight, get a hold of Valerie, support@cfrn.net. Or if you've been on the trial, you probably received an email with instructions on how to become a member. Because it is a members only workshop, you got to be a member to get in. Okay? All right. So, Trump announced deals with Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk to slash weight loss drug prices. That was the big question this morning. We knew Trump was going to speak at 11 a.m. Eastern. Nobody was sure why, but Stefan in the Telegram discussion group had said he thought it had to do with drug prices, and he was right. In fact, I think the president might still be speaking. So, anyway, let me give you the numbers. We're going to start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Wow, what a change. The Dow down 417 points, almost 1%. NASDAQ down 405, 1.75%. S&P 500 down 69, over 1%. The Russell 2000 down 43 points, 1.75%. Ouch. But it's nothing we didn't expect, right? Crude oil down 54 cents, trading 59.06 last. That's a drop of another 1%. Gold down 60 cents, trading 39.9230 last. Silver down 22 cents, trading 47.80 last. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 671 points, almost 1.5%. The Shanghai gained 38, almost 1%. The Hang Seng racked up 550 points, almost 2.25%. So we had a green day in Asia. Oh, I got to give you the European markets now, don't I? FTSE down 41. The DAX down 305. That's over 1.25%. And the CAC down 109, almost 1.5%. So, we had a green day in Asia. It was definitely a red day for the UK. And so far, it's definitely a big red radio Thursday here in the US of A. And when we get to the charts here in a bit, you're going to see some of these important levels that we've talked about, some of these important metrics that we've hit. And maybe it'll all make a little bit more sense. Let's go to the global news, see if that makes any sense. Guatemala announced this week that the FBI will help local authorities find Barrio 18 gang leaders who escaped prison. Only 4 of the 20 escapees have been recaptured since the breakout was reported last month. Barrio 18 began as a 1960s Los Angeles street gang of young Salvadoran immigrants and spread across Central America after members were deported. The Trump administration designated the group a terrorist organization in September, and Guatemala followed suit after the prison break. 3 top security officials, including the Interior Minister, also resigned as reports emerged that the escapes occurred over several days and went unnoticed until a recount of prisoners. Wow. Guatemala's new Interior Minister requested the FBI's assistance. Joint Task Force Vulcan, the FBI unit assigned to help Guatemala, was established under the first Trump administration to dismantle MS-13, another gang founded by Salvadoran immigrants in Los Angeles. Salvadoran authorities estimate MS-13 and Barrio 18 are responsible for roughly 200,000 deaths over the last 3 decades. And at least 28 air safety officials arrived in Louisville, Kentucky yesterday to begin investigating the cause of Tuesday's UPS flight crash. At least 12 people were killed and others wounded. The death toll is expected to rise. The Honolulu-bound cargo plane departed from Muhammad Ali International Airport at 5:02 p.m. local time, but careened off the runway and hit 2 buildings, Kentucky Petroleum Recycling and Grade A Auto Parts, while reportedly on fire. The plane's last recorded transmitted location came at 5:13 p.m. 18 fire departments responded to the resulting fire, which ignited roughly 38,000 gallons of jet fuel. Separately, the FAA said yesterday it will reduce flight capacity by 10% at 40 major U.S. airports starting tomorrow, impacting an estimated 3,500 to 4,000 flights. The decision is due to a shortage of air traffic controllers amid the ongoing federal government shutdown, now the longest on record. It was not clear, as of this writing, which airports will be impacted. And I mentioned yesterday, when these Democrats can't get home for Thanksgiving, they're going to sign on the dotted line. That's my thought. A new technique can translate brain activity into written text and predict which video a person is seeing, according to a new paper from Science Advances. The mind computing approach developed by computational neuroscientist Tomoyasu Horikawa, and I'll only say that once, involves using a deep language AI model to analyze text captions from more than 2,000 short videos. Researchers then trained a separate AI system on fMRI brain scans from 6 participants as they watched the videos. Because the model was sensitive to language order and semantics, instead of just keywords, it was able to better decode the brain scan and match it to an existing caption, correctly interpreting what the person had seen. The system is not the first to use brain activity to read people's thoughts. However, analyzing brain activity as people consume complex visual content, including videos, has proved challenging. Researchers hope this technique could be used to help people with language difficulties communicate. Well, that's a good thing. On a bad day, or a tough day, or is it just the day we've been expecting? U.S. stocks took a sharp turn lower today as concerns about big tech continue to dog markets, and private jobs data showed a tough month for layoffs in October. In fact, last month was the worst October for layoff announcements since 2003, as companies slashed roles to save money, pared back pandemic-era hires, and planned ahead for artificial intelligence, according to the global outplacement firm Challenger, Gray and Christmas. Employers announced 153,074 cuts last month, compared to 55,000 cuts in October of 2024. Last month's figure was the highest total for October in over 20 years, and the highest total for a single month in the fourth quarter since 2008. Robinhood. Do you have a Robinhood account? Robinhood says predictions have exploded in growth over the past quarter, one of the company's latest business lines, to generate $100 million or more in annualized revenue. Robinhood's CEO said prediction markets are really on fire. It's hard to believe we launched this just about a year ago with the presidential election market. We've doubled volume every quarter since then to 2.3 billion contracts in Q3. You know, I have a Robinhood account. I got it. The only reason I got it was there was some crypto, I forget what it was. The only place you could get it or hold it was Robinhood. But I have an account, so I might as well go see what this, they call it prediction markets. I think betting parlor is probably a better term. In October alone, the total number of event contracts traded on the platform has already exceeded that number, jumping to $2.5 billion. Robinhood, which partners with Kalshi, a federally regulated prediction market, has expanded its categories to include sports, economics, politics, and culture. We had a little talk yesterday about this new gambling problem that's about to take a real toll on Americans. I mean, you can bet on every. There's two crows sitting on a telephone line. Which one's going to take off first? The one on the left, the one on the right? I mean, it's a quarterback draws back to throw a football. Will the receiver catch it? You can get the bet in before he releases the ball. It's kind of neat, but I don't know if it's kind of cool. You see what I mean? Maybe you have an opinion about the S&P 500's closing price at the end of this year, or whether Treasury note yields will hit 5% this year. Prediction markets give you the chance to put money on the outcome of those events and earn money for being right. So go to Robinhood and check it out. I think you can open a Robinhood account where a majority of the justices, both the court's 3 liberal-leaning justices as well as 3 more conservative ones, offered skeptical questions regarding the president's authority to impose his most sweeping duties. The court, which has a 6-3 conservative majority, has previously backed Trump in a series of decisions this year. But justices appeared skeptical of the president's authority, casting doubt over the centerpiece of Trump's second-term economic agenda. Unbelievable. What would prohibit Congress from just abdicating all responsibility to regulate foreign commerce? For that matter, declare war to the president. Justice Neil Gorsuch, who was appointed to the High Court by Trump, asked that question to the U.S. government's lawyer. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who was in attendance at the hearing, said he came away very, very optimistic. Really? The Supreme Court does not rule in favor of Trump's tariffs. It's widely expected that the Trump administration will seek out alternative methods to carry out the U.S.'s trade agenda. Hey, sorry, but thanks to the Supreme Court, we can no longer do business with you. We can make and produce everything we need right here in America. So if the Supreme Court wants to throw a monkey wrench in this, well, Trump will figure a way around it. Trump has made clear he considers the case to be of paramount importance to his legacy, even as his administration touts the other legal avenues he could use to impose the duties. Trump on Tuesday said the case is literally life or death for our country. All of a sudden, we have trillions of dollars pouring into our country. After we've been ripped off for years, these other countries have always charged us tariffs to do business in their country. That's why you don't see any Ford F-150s in Germany. But you sure see plenty of BMWs in America, don't you? And Mercedes. How in the world is a reciprocal tariff unfair? Just cut them all off. Supreme Court wants to play dirty? We'll play dirty. Just cut them all off. We don't need them. They need us. We don't need them. Period. We'll see what happens. Big Tech's AI power needs left a Jerry Jones-backed Texas giant sitting on the holy grail of supply. What am I talking about? The AI boom has spiked energy demand, and as big tech firms and data center developers have scrounged for power, the fastest way to meet that demand has been with natural gas. In Texas, natural gas producer Comstock Resources, trades under the symbol CRK, is sitting on what it calls the holy grail of gas-rich land. The key to success for the company, whose largest shareholder is the Dallas Cowboys owner, Jerry Jones, is a portfolio of land acquired in 2019 throughout the far western area of the Haynesville Shale Basin in eastern Texas. Now, I don't know what CRK is trading at, but it's not up a lot on that news. Might be one to look at, CRK. And if your favorite steakhouse is Outback, you may be in trouble. Outback Steakhouse abruptly closed 21 restaurants in October as it begins a comprehensive turnaround strategy to keep up with its trendier competitors. Remember when the Bloomin' Onion was like the coolest thing in dining? That was decades ago, huh? Bloomin' Brands, Outback's parent company, disclosed in its earnings report today that in addition to those closures, an additional 22 locations will not have their leases renewed and will shutter over the next 4 years. Outback has 670 U.S. locations remaining, according to its website. That's roughly 10% fewer than a decade ago when it had about 750 locations. Bloomin' Brands also announced that it will take a $33 million impairment charge for the closures and suspend its shareholder dividend to help pay for the turnaround plan. Oh boy. Somebody's going to be dumping. Following the Republicans' sweeping defeats this week in an off-year elections, President Trump says Republicans need to focus on affordability. As Republicans, you have to talk about it, he told Bret Baier at Fox News. Because if you don't talk about it, you know, I saw that wow. I think my monitor went out, and then it came back. Are we still streaming? I think so. Let me make sure. Yeah, it looks like we're still streaming on YouTube. Okay. Anyway, Trump's talking to Bret Baier. I saw that they kept talking about affordability. Well, Biden was a disaster with affordability. He had the highest inflation rate in the history of our country. But you have to talk about it. It's no good if we do a great job and you don't talk about it. And I don't think they talk about it enough. You see, and Trump made this comment the other day. He said the average man in the street Republican has no clue what the president's big picture is all about. And of course, legacy media is not painting a pretty picture. I mean, come on, Trump could develop a cure for cancer tomorrow, and some radical judge would strike it down. Oh, you can't be curing cancer. Think of all the hospitals and doctors that you'd put out of business, and somebody might get offended. You've probably heard by now the blockbuster news that Microsoft founder Bill Gates, one of the richest people to ever walk the planet, has had a change of heart on climate change. For several decades, Gates poured billions of dollars into the climate industrial complex and was howling that the end is nigh unless we stop using fossil fuels, cars, air conditioning, and general anesthesia. Now he says he rejects the doomsday predictions of the extreme global warming prophets, of which he was one of the biggest. Some conservatives have snuffed that Gates has shifted his position on climate change because he and Microsoft have invested heavily in energy-intensive data centers. What Gates has done is courageous and praiseworthy. I mean, he admitted, he said, I was wrong. He actually, I saw, unless it was a cheap AI fake, I saw him say it on TV. He said I was wrong. There are not many people of his stature who will admit that they were wrong. Al Gore certainly hasn't. Well, what's Greta Thunberg going to do for a living now? Greta thorn in my side. So President Trump is lowering prescription drug prices for... All right. Let me just give it to you. Lowering prescription drug prices has been a focus of Trump's. He previously announced 2 deals lowering prices for Medicaid patients and those who buy directly from a government website. Trump has touted agreements with Pfizer and AstraZeneca, announcing that Medicaid would be given most favored nations pricing on medications and that some prescription drugs would be offered at a discount directly to consumers. Notably, those deals do not include Medicare patients or those who are privately insured through an employer, and it's unclear whether drug companies will also offer favored pricing to those plans. The exact list of drugs to be offered for direct-to-consumer sale has not been announced. Discounts range from 40% to 90%, which could still leave the cost of some specialty or high-end drugs in the thousands of dollars per month. Did you know that more people in America go bankrupt because of health-related issues? Today, in the strange news category, a San Francisco Bay Area woman is supersizing her search for love, one highway billboard at a time. featuring a photo of 42-year-old Lisa Catalano and her website. You can actually go there, marrylisa.com. The signs have garnered thousands of applications from interested men. After spending 6 months on dating apps with nothing meaningful to show for it, Catalano decided it was time she took a different approach. I decided, I'm going to create my own personal dating website and see if I can drive traffic to it and get some dates out of it, and so far, so good. Because of these billboards with her picture and her website, marrylisa.com, from September 24th to October 15th, not quite a month, she received more than 3,800 applications, and she's looked at all of them, she says. It was a lot of work, but I figured I was asking the right questions on the application in order to determine if somebody is right for me. And I'm just going from there. I really didn't expect this to get as big, and it's been interesting. Well, if I was a single man and there was a lady who could afford to put up all these billboards, and the picture I'm looking at on the internet here, she's not an unattractive woman at all. Fetching, I would say. She's perhaps, now I know some of you are going to say she needs to get a nose job, but come on. She's fetching. Whatever that means. All right, last bit of news. ESPN's foray into sports betting will end after 2 years, the company said in a joint statement with Penn Entertainment. This was announced today. ESPN Bet launched in 2023 after ESPN and Penn, P-E-N-N, agreed to a 10-year, $2 billion deal allowing Penn to use ESPN's branding on its sportsbook app. But that business is extremely competitive. You got FanDuel, you got DraftKings, MGM, Caesars, Rivers, Fanatics, Hard Rock, and Bet365 among the litany of companies vying for bettors action in multiple states. You can also get lottery tickets. Has it ever been, like there's a huge jackpot and you're like, oh man, I don't have time to get to the convenience store to buy my ticket. Well, now there is an app for the iPhone, probably Android too. It's called Jackpot or something. Just Google it. And I did buy a ticket. I spent $1 to see if it worked, and I got the ticket, and I didn't win. Now, my thought is if you buy a lottery ticket through them, and it's worth $380 million, okay, are they really going to give you that money, or are they going to vanish into the night? I know you got legal standings, you can sue them, because as soon as you buy the ticket, you get a copy of the ticket. They've got people stationed everywhere, and they buy the ticket for you. I don't know. We'll see. It's an interesting idea. See if it sticks. Okay, let's do local news. And when I say local news, what do I mean? Logic 247. That is our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. It's not just E-minis. I messed that up, didn't I? Valerie's resolution is different than mine. Is that the bad boy? Yep. Okay. Now, Valerie did the recap this morning at 5 a.m. Eastern. Boy, she was up early. Of course, she'll update it this afternoon, early evening, as she does each day. But we're in week 379. Over the last 379 weeks, we've issued over 20,900 individual handcrafted alerts. Every one of them with an entry price, an initial target, additional targets, and a final trade to target. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. This week so far, since the markets opened Sunday night, this past Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we had issued 43 alerts when Valerie did the recap. But right before the market opened this morning, I probably put out, 5 or 6 more alerts. Now, so that's not factored in. So that 43 now is probably more like 48, I'm going to guess. At the time of the recap, we were still awaiting the outcome of 10. That gave us 33 actionable alerts, of which 5 or 15% would have been stopped out based on simple market structure and the simple process we teach all of our passport holders. The purpose of the logic alerts is to teach you how to read a chart. Other companies have sold you indicators and oscillators and wished you all the very best. But did you ever do business with a company that actually taught you how to read a chart and then taught you how to trade? Gave you around-the-clock support? 2 hours of live training every day? Private one-on-one mentoring at your request? No extra charge? I'm going to guess no. Well, we do. Now, whether you trade the logic alerts or not doesn't matter to me, okay? It's like found money, but that's up to you. If you never trade a logic alert, at least use them for the reason intended, and that's to learn how to read a chart. Bring up an alert, bring up a chart, draw a horizontal line at the entry price, long or short. And then the next line you're going to draw is at the initial target, designed to help you get your goal for the day. And then the additional targets, draw a horizontal line, and you'll start to see, it'll all start to make sense. The clouds will part, and pretty soon you won't need my alerts because you can read the chart just like I can. I mean, if you know how to read and your vision is still good, you can read the newspaper, right? Unless you're physically challenged in some way or sight impaired, you don't need somebody else to read the newspaper to you. You can read it yourself. That's what I want for you when it comes to the charts. Now, you're never going to know with 100% certainty what's going to happen next in the market. That's impossible. Lots of people promise it, but nobody delivers it. But you can know with a great degree of certainty what the next high probability move is. We've proved that now over 7 years, 7+ years, and over 20,900 individual alerts. And we know, based on history, 20% of the time or less, like right now we're sitting at 15%. I think last week we ended up at 13%. So, again, whether you trade them or not, please use them to learn how to read the chart. Because if you want to learn to trade for a living, it's going to be real hard to do that until you learn how to read a chart. And it's really not as complicated as you might think. Now, without help, it's a real challenge. It's a nightmare. Now, the logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session and vice versa. But our original alert service, which we had many years before Logic 247, it's different in a lot of different ways. But for the purpose of this discussion, they don't come out around the clock. They're typically published 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open each evening. See, tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, it will become the Friday session. The Thursday session will end at 5 p.m. Eastern. Markets go quiet for an hour. 6 p.m. tonight, bing, Friday session begins. So last night, all of our traders and even trial members had all of these targets 5 minutes before the market opened. S&P, Dow, Russell, crude oil, NQ, gold, and silver. So as we go through the individual markets, you're going to see these targets drawn out on the charts. Just remember, all of our people had them 5 minutes before the market opened. Not after it happened, before. All right, here's that daily chart of the S&P 500. And there, of course, is the all-time historic high. Here's the pullback to the BBC. We're now holding day 3. Remember back here, we had a 6-day pullback that held. This morning, we had support at the 50, and then we dropped to the 38% fib extension. We have red and falling chasing price. Now, during this 6-day pullback that held, we did have red and falling, but we managed to overcome it and put in a new all-time historic high. Typically, when you got that much red and falling, that's when the pullback doesn't hold. Now, price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. We just call it the BBC. It stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses below the green line, like it did back here, you see this candle on March 4th? It opened and closed below the green line. So now we're bearish until this happens. Price closes above the BBC, and then we have a candle open and close above the BBC. But the reversion to the mean, or pullback to the BBC, the pullback held, the pullback held, the pullback held 2 days till it didn't hold. That's our confirmation right there. We opened and closed. So now we officially have gone from bear to bull. Pullback held, the pullback held, and it held, and it held. Every single pullback since then has held. Even this crazy 6-day. And hey, we're in day 3 right now, so could it happen again? Yeah. Just keep in mind, we got red and falling overhead. And so how we close today is always important. It's every day. Now, right below the 38, in fact, this wick, oh, you see right there where the blue line, okay, over here, see the red line gets below the green line, then it turns to blue, and then it crosses above the green line. That's called the bullish cross. When you have a bullish cross that leads to an extended move, the first time price revisits that area will almost always be good support. So even though we didn't quite tag it, I mean, we could come back down, and it's usually the first time down or up if it's a bearish cross. 67.25/26, that should be good support. Okay. Then you got the 24% fib extension. Then you got the 0 line. And then you got the low of October 17th. And then the low of October 10th. And of course, where's resistance? At the high of the day, the black step line. And then the high of yesterday, the high of the day before that, and then red and falling. Price always reverts to the mean, and the pullback holds more often than it doesn't. The larger the time frame, the more likely it is to hold. That's really important to know, and I probably don't say that enough. So all of the alerts, Logic 247 and the Concierge Trade alerts, are created on the 30-minute chart. Nothing magic about 30 minutes, just the time frame I chose years ago. They say if it ain't broke, leave it alone. So I did. The vertical lines you see on the chart separate today, Thursday. Here's Wednesday. Back here's Tuesday. So going into the close yesterday, we had a leg and then we had a retracement. We pulled back to the BBC. Now you see all this red and falling. That's a good indication that maybe this pullback doesn't hold. We came all the way down to the weekly zone. The horizontal lines that you see on the chart, those are the weekly trading zones. They're published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. So we opened last night. We dropped to the zone 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern. Now when price drops to a zone, we expect support. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise, like we saw yesterday. So support, resistance. Then only one of three things happens when price encounters a zone. 70% of the time it's this, consolidation. 20% of the time, rejection. 10% of the time, the slice. That's when a 30-minute candle slices through a zone like it's not even there. Now, typically what happens when you have a slice and it runs out of steam, price will retrace back to the zone it sliced through and then continue in the direction of the slice. It didn't happen this time. We're below the BBC. We got red and falling. Now the step line, you'll notice on the way down, the black step line and red and falling, they're running parallel to each other, right? But notice, because we've consolidated here for a few candles, these are 30-minute candles, the black step line is starting to angle to the right. Once it gets on the right side of red and falling, just like up here, see on the move up how they're running parallel? But once that black step line crosses to the right side of blue and climbing, you should expect a retracement back to the BBC. And that's what we got. It happens over and over and over again and again and again. Okay? Does it happen every time? No. Nothing, very few things happen every time. Okay? But it sure happens more often than not. So, we're already printing a green candle. So if the step line gets on the right side of red and falling, you should look for price to make a move back to the BBC. Then it becomes a question of, is the pullback going to hold or not? We know this. It holds more often than it doesn't. Okay. Now, why did price stop falling right here? What was the low? 67.33. $67.33. Right here, you see where red turned to blue? There it is. People always ask me, how far left do I have to look? As far as you need to. Now, yesterday, price stopped right here because of the bullish cross. See, it's all in the chart. That's why I can't encourage you enough. Learn to read the chart. We give you everything you need to learn to read the chart. So it's on you to show up and actually do the work, ask the questions, etc. Okay, I thought I did these already, but I guess I didn't. Oh, come on. Oh, come on, man. Anyway, I normally have these all looking pretty, but guess today I didn't. I forgot. Okay. So, yesterday, price hit the weekly zone at 540/45. It tried to get through it quite a few times. See all these 30-minute candles? But remember, when price moves up to a zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. Then we opened here last night. We're above the BBC, but we got red and falling overhead. That's a contradiction. So then price gets to the BBC, consolidates, and it drops to the zone below. 47,335/340. Now these are the zones that were published this past Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. So we do get a little pop here off the 8:30 news this morning. Well, actually, we popped before it and then the news dropped it. Now, the high of this candle, look at the horizontal line on my cursor right here. You see this high early overnight last night? It's this high right here. Here you can see it. Then price drops to the zone. And then we get a bounce and a drop. It takes us to and through the short target. And if I had the time, I'd scrunch it all up and show you why the market found support here. But it's better that you do it yourself. That's part of the learning process. Notice that the black step line is starting to hook to the right. Once it crosses red and falling, look for price to move back to the BBC. The Russell. Oh, we opened last night above the BBC. We found support. We bounced up to the zone and found resistance. Then we got below the BBC and it looked like we were going to drop, but buyers swooped in off the London Open. Here's the London Open. This is 30 minutes after the London Open. And they drove us up almost to the long target. I mean, you had plenty of room to get your goal for the day, but we didn't quite make it to the long target. It happens, okay? Resistance is always going to send the market looking for support. So down we come to the zone. We consolidate. We print a doji right at the zone. And then right here, 10:30 this morning, bang. We drop all the way to the short target and through the short target. Now you only need 2 points to get your goal for the day. So if you got in here, if you waited for this low, for price to take out this low, let's say you got in at 46, that's 4 points down to the target. But it traveled all the way to here. Now I don't have to scroll back for this. Look over here. You see this? That's market structure. If you can learn how to do that, you can read a chart just like you read a newspaper. The NQ. Now that one's not so pretty. Here's where we opened. We consolidated at the zone. We oscillated below, above, below. We did make somewhat of an attempt here this morning until that 8:30 news hit and just crushed. Now, this is the lowest zone. The step line is about to cross red and falling, so you know what to expect, a retracement to the BBC. Okay, we'll pick up here when I come back. But Michael is back.
I am.
Very glad to have you back. Yep.
Thank you.
He's going to give us a recap of what happened in the live training room this morning. Then when I come back, I'll finish the recap I was doing and wrap things up with our good word for the day.
All right. And Michael R. was kind enough to clue me into a couple of errors that I had out here in the spreadsheet. So I will have to fix those up. He's it was column R, row 5307.
That's an interesting way you spelled your name today, but
I know. Cap locks are all off and everything else.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Yeah, everything looks good.
Okay, good. 5307. This should be times 10 times 10. Okay, so it should be, yeah, times 10. That's right. Okay. And all months in column R are times 10 column P. Or 10 times column P. All months. Column R 10 times. Oh, he's just telling me why. Okay, so there's just one error. That's good. Okay. Well, I can't add that back there, so we'll just start out here. Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 6th day of November, 2025. Now, if you have not taken the free trial with us, go ahead to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There is no credit card required for this trial. Did do this on Thursday. When you click on that, it's going to bring you to this page right here, where all the way else, we'll put a new one of these up tomorrow, but all the way else on this page is your name, your email, your phone number down here at the bottom. Gives you TradingView login ID. Hit the register button. Once you hit register, then we'll know that you took the free trial, and we'll be able to get your indicators indicating for you on your desktop. As long as you have a set TradingView login ID, we'll be able to do all that for you. Okay. Okay. Spreadsheet, new month. Right. So I was going through and I was trying to get it all right, but I had made a few errors in it. But today is my first day of November. It's my first trading day of November. It's the 6th day of November. We were up 127 on the NQ, 23 on the YM, 56 on gold, and 8 on the ES. Put us at 1410 on the morning session. Today, it took 36 minutes and 8 trades to get to $1,150. So I stopped out on my very first NQ trade, and it gave like almost 100% slippage. And so we had a 42 tick stop, which should have been a 25 tick stop on my very first NQ trade. And so it took a little while to get back from that. We took a total of 37 trades with 5 stop outs. So 86.4% of our trades today were break even or better. So on the month, obviously it's our first day this month, we're at 1,410. On the year, we're now at $232,222. That's over 191 trading days, averaging $1,215 per contract per 2-hour trading day. That doesn't seem right. That seems too high. 5310 Q, 5310 divided by R. 53, S5310. What is it? S5310. So it's the 5310 numbers. This seems off for some reason. 232,500. Yeah, I guess it's right. Anyway, $1,215 per contract per 2-hour trading day. Following the 24/20 blueprints, so far this year, you would have had to work 27 hours. If you quit trading when you got the goal for the day and you added 1 contract per month. So far this year, you would have had to work 27 hours and you'd be up $180,072, being your 11th contract right now. So this should be that number divided by 10 times 11, because this is what it was with 10 contracts on. So you divide that by 10, then do it times 11 because it's the 11th month. Add it all up and it comes up to $6,600, $65.22 per hour. All right. All right. Let's put that down. And now we'll get into the actual trades. All right, we'll start out with the gold. Wow. We'll start out with the gold. Look at that, the other way with gold. Control back. Control back. And here we are. All right, here we are with this. Now, we have this morning on the gold, our first trade here on gold, we picked up 2 ticks, it looks like. I picked up 2 ticks on the first one, 12 on the next one to get us to 14. 2 more to get us to 16, and then we stopped out there. Went down to 1. Picked up 10 to get back to 11, then 11 more to get to 22. Then it looks like 17 to get to 39. a break even, a break even, a break even, and then 3 to 41, then 5 to 46, then 10 to 56, and that is where we ended it. During the break, nope, nope, nope. Wow. During the break, there were very few trades considering all the movement there was. This would have been a trade right there that would have stopped out. So far during the break, there was one trade and it would have been a stop out. That was an opportunity right there. And that was it. So we hardly had anything during the break on gold. Right? The YM, we ended up with, well, on the gold, we ended up with plus 56. On the YM, we ended up with 23, but we were back and forth a little bit with the YM. So let's go control back on that. All right. The YM, we didn't have anything till all the way over here, 10:07. We had to break even. Then we picked up 4 ticks, and then we had to break even. And to stop out, we went to minus 11. Then we had 25 right there that got us to 14. We went from 14 to 23, and that is where we ended up with YM. More trades in here during the break. That was kind of a trade right there during the break. I say kind of because if you had your order waiting, it would have gapped down, and if you had your auto break even done, it would break even right away. It may have kept you in the trade. It may have stopped you out to the tick right there, but it wasn't a great trade. This was a valid trade here. That would have been an okay one to take. That would have been, nope. I'm sorry, it didn't go full cycle. That would not have been an okay trade. And that's it. And that is it for the YM. All right. Now on the ES, control back on ES. All right. So on the ES, here was our first trade on the ES. And I believe on that one we picked up 8 ticks. And then the next one picked up 12 to get us to 20. And then we stopped out. And that put us back down to 10. And then I believe we stopped out again right there. And that put us down to 0. And then we picked up 8 ticks there to get us to 8. And that's what we ended up with the ES this morning. Now, during the break, let's see, during the break, there was one trade right there during the break. This right here was a trade. Break. So both of those were okay. And this one was okay. There's a lot of movement. Not a ton of trades, but a lot of movement. That would have been an okay trade right there. That one there would have been good. And that's it. And that is it on the ES. On the NQ now. Control and back. Wow. Lots of bars on the NQ. Does anybody have any questions while we wait? We're almost there. There we are. All right, so our first trade was right here on the NQ, and it wasn't even a valid trade, and I got horrible slippage on the stop out on that. I ended up with minus 42 on the first trade. I picked up one tick there. That also wasn't a trade. I was a little rusty getting back into it this morning. I picked up one tick there to get me to minus 41. Then nothing for a little while here. Right there, I picked up 8 ticks to get me to minus 33. And 4 to get me to minus 29. All right, minus 29. Then 1 minus 28. Then 45, 2 plus 17. Then some big number, 2 plus 62. It went from 62 to 86. And 86, somewhere in here to 102. 102 to 103, 103 to 107. Doesn't look like I have all the trades marked up in here. 103 to 107, 107 to 152. And then we stopped out. And we're back down to 127. I think I missed a 1 tick trade in there somewhere. Anyway, that's the way it all came together. Now, during the break, there was a long trade right there, a short trade right there, a short trade right there, and all those trades so far would have worked out, but there's just, I'm not seeing any right here right now. Right there, was that one? Yeah, that was a trade right there. It would have been a break even. And what I did on my laptop, maybe this is a different color. And I made it solid. That's right. And that makes it a little easier to see. Right there was a trade. That would have been okay. Right there was a trade. That would have stopped out. That would have been okay. That right there would have been a good one. I'm sorry, I was looking down the short side. That would have been a good short, but not a good long. That would have been a stop out right there. See all the way up there. That would have been a valid trade. That would have been a valid trade. No, that makes just fine, I think. Yeah, I'm here. I'm just going through everything here, little by little. Going through the trades. That would have been a valid trade. That would have been an okay one. That would have been an okay trade. Probably would have been break even. That would not have been a trade. Not a trade. Not a trade. That would have been an okay trade. Well, there were just a ton of bars in here. Wow. With all this movement up, there weren't many trades. Right there. It started throwing it down in here. That was it. It was just a trade right here a few minutes ago. And that was it for the NQ. The NQ had didn't have that many trades overall, but we ended up with plus 127. ended up with a stop out was one of our last trades on the NQ this morning, which is no fun ever. So if you have not, for anybody coming in on YouTube right now, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. No credit card required for this. Just click on that purple button. When you do, send to the registration page. Just fill it out. All right. Now, let's see if we have any trades coming up. We are, I guess, right there on the YM. YM is a short right there. Let me move stuff around and get to my DOMs. YM has a short right here. And I should have had my stop and break even already. My fill should have been at 941 and my fill was at 933. Wow. That's not a very good fill there. Well, let's see if we can get that stop to break even anyway. And the gold needs a down close to get into the oversold and then an up close off of that. Okay. And I'm going to step out on this YM, I think. We haven't yet, but I'm just going to slide it over to the side. I'll let you know when we do. It stops at 48. So we don't know. The gold did get down to the oversold. The N came out of the oversold, but never hit the midpoint. The NQ actually had, that's a valid short right there on the NQ. I just stopped out on the YM. Okay. That is a valid short on the NQ. My stop, and bring that over. My stop went to break even. It should have gone to break even plus a tick, but I think now 52.50. Will that go down to? It just gave me out 45 ticks. Okay. Oops. So we had here a 15 tick stop on the YM and a 45 tick gain over here on the NQ. So overall, here plus 30 ticks. And that NQ was and that YM was my fault. I shouldn't have had an entry that bad. All right, 119. So we have 11 minutes left in here. Now this is not a trade here because the midpoint was not flat. Okay, gotta have a flat midpoint. And we could have another one here on the NQ with a down close. Okay, look for that down close over there on the NQ. Still look for the down close on the NQ. Nope, good no close. Not gonna have a trade there. It's gonna flip the YBR right now. All right, we almost have a trade here on the NQ again, long this time. Just need the up close. Nope, we actually need a down close first. Sorry, that didn't turn into anything. We needed a down close first. Followed by the up close. Looks like the ES is probably going to flip the YBR. The YM is going to flip the YBR. And all right, we are oversold now on the NQ, And we just need the up close. There it is. Okay. And it went enough to get the stop to break even. I didn't get the entry on. If I did, it would have gone break even automatically on me. I just need to make sure I got my thing right over there because it should go to break even plus a tick. Huh. I don't have the break even thing on at all. That is why it did not do it for me this morning. I had to do it manually. Just shut that one off. Okay. All right. I have that next. So this right here on the ES was actually a trade right in there. The ES, the DOM suggests the ES. The DOM doesn't suggest the ES is going anywhere. But the chart suggests the ES should get up here to 746.75. This is also kind of a weird trade here on the YM. Now, I got the ES one, but I didn't get the YM one. I'm going to take 4 ticks on the ES. Okay. The YM was kind of a weird one too, because on the up close is when it went up above, it crossed the midpoint. And the ES was kind of the same thing. On the up close, it crossed the midpoint. That's really, the ES was right. The YM was a little off. Okay. Now, it is 1:24, so we have about 6 minutes left. 6 minutes. And we need pullbacks. So let's go out here and look at the bigger picture a little bit. Wow. That's not good. Back in here. Today is the 6th, so 7 days from today is the 13th. Nothing there, nothing there, nothing there, and nothing here right now. All right, so we've got a low here of 94.6, 94.3, 95.3 is what we can be buying on. Now it's 95.1. Just need the up close over here on the gold. Up close on the gold be along there. Nope. Now the low just changed on that. Oops, I just lost my DOM. The low is now 93.7. And where did I lose that DOM? Here it is. So this needs to be it. 4.7. No trade. It's gone down too low. It's on a tear on all these other markets. Gold should tank. All the other ones going up. You see, it's one tick too low. That's what I was afraid of. That is what I was afraid of in there. So far, we've made a little bit of money on the ES. We made a good chunk on the NQ, and we had one stop out on the YM. So positive overall. 3 trades, 1 stop out.
Pretty quiet, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, we had 3 trades so far. We had 2 wins and 1 stop out. The wins, fortunately, were good enough to wipe out that stop out and then some. So.
Well, that's good.
But
Very good.
It's quiet. It's moving. It's just not pulling back. You know, these long legs and not even a pullback. When you look at it over here on the daily, it doesn't look like it's moving at all. Right there.
Early in the week, we had a lot of volatility, but we had very little follow through.
Yes, that makes for tough trading. It does indeed. All right, the NQ is just about got to trade here. It'll be our last one if we get to trade here on the NQ. We need the up close. Maybe the ES could have one too. Could be our last 2. YM's not going to have one. But the NQ or the ES could each give a trade. I think the NQ is going to be too far away now, though. Let me just check that out. Yeah, it's going to be too far away. No trade on the NQ. Cancel on that one. And the ES could still do it, though. That has a low right now, 55.25. And I have a high of 57.25. It looks like it wants to get up to 67. I'm sorry, 67.25. No, 57.25. 67, 57.25. I had it right.
There's the up close.
There it is.
On the ES.
And I had a little bit of a choke here on my side. My data just stopped coming in.
Uh-oh. Earlier, my whole screen just went black, and I'm like, oh no. And then it came back. So,
well,
you used to always hear about the blue screen of death, but the other day
Yeah.
I saw an article about the black screen of death and what to do. So, anyway.
Well, that's good. Well, we ended up not getting into that. The ES just had a really nice trade right there. I wish we would have gotten into it, but it didn't work out for us.
Okay.
But, well, let me just say this. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com and click on the purple button. There's no credit card required for this trial. Just go there, click on the button, and fill out the form. All right? There'll be a new form here tomorrow, but fill out that form. That's all you need to do. All right? That was a really nice trade on the ES. It's too bad we didn't get it. Looks like we're going to have one here on gold, too, coming up. All right. That is it, everyone. With that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. And Dwayne is ready.
Yes, I am ready. And the recap of the morning session.
Well, goodness, today it was an unusual day, and it took us 36 minutes and 8 trades to get to $1,150 with 10 contracts.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, we'll pick up where we left off, and we'll be done pretty quick. We left off on the NQ. Just to recap it real quick. We'll run through them all real quick for those that showed up late. ES, we dropped to the zone. This is the open last night. The vertical line separates today from yesterday, day before. Horizontal lines are the zones that came out Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone the entire week. So we opened last night. We dropped to the zone below, 6805/06. And then the pullback to the VVC held. And again, we found support at the zone and resistance at the zone. And now right here, we talked about this earlier, if you were tuned in earlier in the broadcast. The black step line has now crossed red and falling, so look for a pullback to the VVC. Dow, we talked about it before Michael came on. Step line has crossed. Same thing, look for a retracement back to the VVC at this point. Then it becomes a question of, is the pullback going to hold or not? Well, this is what we know. The pullback holds more often than not. That doesn't mean it's going to hold this time. The Russell, here's where we opened last night, dropped to the BBC, got actually below the BBC, but then buyers came in off the London Open and drove us almost all the way to the long target. Then the 8:30 news came out, and we hit the zone and caught a nice bounce all the way up to 24.61. And then we came on down. And the low of today, see right here, where red turned to blue yesterday? That's your low right there. How about that? Pretty as you please. NQ, we opened just above the BBC last night and above the zone, and then we oscillated below the zone and above the zone and below the zone. Then we did try to make a run to the upside, but this high right here failed to take out this high. That's a sign of weakness, and boy was it weak. That's the 8:30 news drove this thing down. The most layoffs in over 20 years. That's what the report was this morning. Last month, there were more layoffs in a month than any month in the last 20 years. Over 20 years, I think they said. The step line has now officially crossed red and falling, so you should expect a retracement back to the BBC. And then the question is, does it hold or not? Crude oil, this is where we opened last night. As you can see, yesterday we found support at the zone, resistance at the zone, support at the zone, resistance at the zone. Yesterday was zone, the zone, the zone, back to the zone, and then we dropped going into the close and almost got to the zone below. Is that the lowest zone there? No, there's still one more down there at 57.20/25. So red and falling turned to blue and climbing. We get above the BBC, but then right here, 30 minutes ahead of the London Open, no, on the London Open, crude drops all the way to the zone, and it hits a short target. Now the zone's 59.45/59.50. That's the zone published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And here it is Thursday, and the zone's doing its job. The price drops to a zone, we expect support till proven otherwise. When it rallies up, we expect resistance till proven otherwise. And so from that short target, we made a fast run right up to the long target of the tick. And the long target is simply based off this high right here from yesterday. Resistance will always send the market looking for support, which it found at the BBC, but it bounced it into red and falling. And then, of course, the 8:30 news didn't help. And down we go. And if you scroll far enough, you can figure out what happened. Gold kind of getting hammered along with everything else. This was the opening candle last night, and in the first 30 minutes, we dropped all the way to the short target. We opened at 39.92 and dropped to 77. 13 points or so. $1,300 per contract traded. And we bounced up to the zone resistance, which sent us back down to the short target support, which sent us up to the long target resistance. We consolidated, we got through there, we hit the zone at 40.15, and then this high right here failed to take out that high. So we come back to the zone support. That bounces us up where we overcome that high by just a little bit. And we're always suspicious of just a little bit. Sure enough, blue and climbing turns to red and falling. And down we go. All the way back to the short target. And we've bounced all the way back up to the long target. The step line has crossed. In theory, if we continue to consolidate, what will happen is the BVC will drop to meet price. But as you can see how the underside, or actually the long target, is acting as resistance right now. We continue consolidating, BVC is going to drop, okay? Now, with this kind of action, I don't want to rule out the potential for us to overcome the BVC, but if we do, you got a bearish cross right there, 4,006. So that's probably going to be, if we get back up there, pretty good resistance, at least the first time up, okay? And last but not least, silver. Here's where we opened on silver last night, and we pulled up to the zone resistance, and that sent us down to the short target, but we didn't quite get there the first time. We missed it by a little bit, but you only need 2 pennies. I mean, this candle opened at 47.93 and dropped to 61. So that's about $1,500 per contract traded. So buyers came in a little early. We were expecting them to come in here. They came in early, drove us up the zone, through the zone, to the long target, through the long target, resistance at the zone, and we popped above the zone. And this high here, when it failed to take out this high here, well, look at all that red and falling, chasing price. Boom. We come all the way down to the zone at 47.49/47.50. The black step line crossed red and falling. We've already bounced back to the BBC on silver. We got potential resistance overhead at the long target. I mean, we're at resistance now, the BBC, but if we trade through it, 48.10, you got a bearish cross right here, 48.18. Be careful, okay? And even this area here, where the step line traded through the BBC, that's an area I'd watch as well, 48.26. And then, of course, the zone. And one last look at the daily chart. Low of the session, we just barely spiked the 38% fib extension. Now we've got a bullish cross. I pointed this out earlier. Got a bullish cross. It's really like right here. So we didn't quite touch it. The first time price hits this area, you know, some could argue, yeah, you kind of did touch it. Okay. I'm going to say we kind of didn't quite get all the way there. But it's support nonetheless. It's bounced us up a little bit. But we got red and falling overhead. Now remember, we had a 6-day pullback over here that held. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days the pullback held and took us to new all-time historic highs. So you got to embrace all possibilities. Okay. All right, to become a member, email Valerie, support@cfrn.net. Just tell her you want to become a member. She'll send you the information you need to get signed up. Once you're all signed up, she'll send you more information. Now, a lot of the stuff she sends you once you become a member, you're not going to understand what it is or what to do with it. But trust me, you're going to need it. We've sent out enough of these welcome packages. We know what you need, so we send it all to you right up front. Create a folder in your email client, and every email that comes in from her, just shove it in that folder. Okay? Just shove it in the folder. Because you'll be up working in the middle of the night some night when you can't sleep, or a weekend or a holiday, and you'll need something, and you'll go, man, they're all out of town or whatever. That's okay. You have everything you need in that folder you created. Those emails that you shoved in there, you didn't know what it meant. You're about to find out. Okay? Now, once you're an official member, a passport holder, you're going to get 2 hours of live training every trading day. It's an interactive environment. On top of that, you've got access to private one-on-one mentoring. No extra charge, you just got to ask. The strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder, stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETFs, doesn't matter. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. So if you're a stock trader and you've been watching this and you're like, man, wish they had something like that for stocks. We do. It's just that we prefer to trade futures because of the leverage. When you buy one ES contract for, most brokers during the day session, it'll cost you $750 to buy or sell one ES E-mini contract. Some places do $500. I got brokers at $750. Okay. You're controlling over $300,000 of S&P 500 best of breed equity. Now, here's the formula. You take the current price of the S&P 500 index, and let's see. Okay, 67.65. We'll use that. 67.65 times $50 a point. Right now, if you buy one ES E-mini contract for $750, that's how much you need in your account to make the trade. You're controlling $338,250 of S&P 500 best of breed equity. And you're not just betting on one horse in the race. You're betting on every horse. All 500 companies. Okay? I don't like to use betting terms, but your risk is spread over 500 companies that have passed very stringent tests to be included in the S&P 500. See, the indices will always go higher over time. Sadly, individual stocks can go to zero. I know. I own a few. More than a few. Hey, but that's a sad tale for another day, right? Right. Okay. Well, fair enough. Think about that. Now, if you go into your stockbroker's office and say, "Hey, I got $750. I want to trade in the markets. What can I get?" You can probably get a good laugh. But now, I'm not even going to get into the other benefits. Okay. I'm not a licensed investment professional, and I can't talk to you about the tax benefits of futures because I'm not an accountant. But educate yourself. And once you really understand futures, I don't see how you could ever go back. All that homework you do every night, looking at the price to earnings ratio and all the other fundamental stuff, man, that's so old school. Let the professionals at Standard & Poor's do all that work for you. Because you see, if one of the companies in the S&P 500 gets a little weak, they boot them out. They bring in a strong, fresh, bullish company to replace them. So that's why the indices always go higher over time, because they're always shuffling the deck, shuffling the deck. Almost seems like that couldn't be. Is that legal? Yeah. Trust me, it's legal. Best advice you can give any young person in your life: buy some S&P 500 index fund. The SPDR. Whatever you want to choose. And then get them to agree, and maybe you seed it for them. You put $50 in the account, And now they're going to agree every payday that they're going to add $25, $50, $100. And as they grow older and their income increases, they're going to up that to 100, maybe 200 every payday. Now, you don't care if the market's up or the market's down, because your dollar cost averaging. If you're putting in $50 a week, when the market's down, you get a bigger slice of the pie. When the market's up, you get a smaller slice. But if you start this before you're 25, by the time you're 50, you will not need to work. If you stick to your guns and put that money in. Now, those of us who are already men and women of a certain age, we have to be a little more aggressive. The young person, there's no greater. The S&P 500 is up 16% this year. There are going to be some years where it'll only be up, 5-6%. I think they say the average is somewhere between 8 and 10%. So you have good years, bad years, doesn't matter. Because over your life, the course of your life, 20, 30, 40 years, that thing's going to grow and it's going to compound and it's going to just blow your socks off. Okay. As a passport holder, you'll get the Logic 247 alerts around the clock so you can learn how to read the chart. Every night, you'll get the concierge trade alerts the second they're published, typically 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open. Every Monday morning, you'll get the weekly trading zones, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. And as you saw today, here it is Thursday, they're still doing their job. And you'll be able to attend the members-only workshop every Thursday night, which is tonight. So members, please have your questions ready. Okay? Last but not least, you get the golden keys that open all the private channels in Telegram. It's everything a trader needs, all under one roof, one low price. How low? $5,000. $49.97 to be exact. Unless you're a veteran, let us know and we'll give you a discount to thank you for your service. Just let Valerie know when you email her to become a member. Now, when you look at that through the lens of how much time and treasure you've spent trying to learn how to trade without someone to teach you 2 hours every trading day or to meet with you for a private session whenever you want. Oh, around-the-clock support via Telegram. Okay? I mean, come on, Jack. It's a good deal. I checked. We only do good deals. All right. Let's wrap it up with our good word for the day. It is Pastor Appreciation Month last month, so I'm running a little behind. But show appreciation for your pastor. 1 Thessalonians 5:12. Appreciate those who work hard among you, who lead you in the Lord and teach you. Paul writes to the church at Thessalonica. Now, brothers and sisters, we ask you to appreciate those who work hard among you, who lead you in the Lord and teach you. Respect them with a very special love because of the work they do. Now, consider these 21st century statistics. We're fast forwarding a couple thousand years since that was written. 50% of pastors feel so disheartened they would leave the ministry if they could, but they don't know any other way to make a living. Number 2, half of all new ministers won't last more than 5 years in ministry. Number 3, only 1 in 10 ministers will retire while still serving in some capacity. Number 4, in America, over 1,700 pastors left the ministry every month during 2011. And the number's grown. There are many reasons why pastors walk away. One major reason is inadequate financial support and the toll it takes on their family. Paul addressed the issue directly. Let the elders, pastors, who rule well be counted worthy of double honor. That's financial remuneration. Especially those who labor in the word and doctrine. For the scripture says, you shall not muzzle an ox while it treads out the grain, and the laborer is worthy of his wages. 1 Timothy 5. Another reason pastors quit is because they are often the target of harsh and constant criticism. Paul gives this instruction: do not receive an accusation against an elder except from 2 or 3 witnesses. So what can you do? Pray for your pastor. Encourage them. You know, we see these guys like Stephen Furtick on TV on Sunday mornings. You all know, Saturday afternoons, I go to church, I serve. Our church has 5 services over the weekend, 2 Saturday, 3 Sunday. So I go to the Saturday afternoon and serve here locally, but I watch Elevation on YouTube on my big screen TV in the comfort of my living room on Sunday morning. Okay? Now you look at him, he's like a rock star. He's got a net worth of about $50 million. But he didn't start out that way. I've seen videos of him when he was just a young pup, 20 years old, 21, just starting out, just coming out of seminary school, getting married, struggling, meeting with a group of like 10 people and saying, let's start a church, call it Elevation. Today, you've got this larger-than-life figure. But see, that's not most pastors. Now, I said I serve at my local CCV campus on Saturdays. One of my tasks is to stand in back and do the count. Last Saturday at the 4 o'clock service, I counted 240 people. We do 5 services over the course of the weekend. The biggest one is the 11:30 a.m. service on Sunday. I have people send me the count for that. It was like 438. Now, let's go back to Saturday afternoon, the first service of the weekend, 4 o'clock. I counted 240 people, okay? Do you know how many pastors in your town would just be giddy to have a congregation of 200 people? Even 100. Most of the churches I've been a part of, most of my life, church I grew up in as a kid, about 40 on a Sunday, maybe 45. When I was with Praise City, we might do 100, on a strong Sunday. Christmas, Easter bumps up to 150 maybe, okay? But the average pastor in the average church is struggling. Not just financially, but spiritually. They're like, God, you put me in this position. I know you called me to this. But I can barely feed my family. Now, the one person who I'll always refer to as my pastor, Coney Orozco, he was on our show a couple times. We did special events, and he joined in. He was a pastor of a church that had about 50 to 60 on a weekend. But during the week, he worked for the city of Phoenix in the Parks and Recreation Department. He did that job for 20 years. He retired with a pretty good pension. He continued to preach for a couple more years, then moved to Africa. We started our orphanage in 2000. I'm trying to think of when he started his. It's probably 2010, maybe 2015. He's since passed, but his wife is still very much active, and she still spends most of her time. They're right across the border in Kenya from where our orphanage is in Kampala. So, see, he was a very unique man. Work hard all day. He still did the Wednesday night service. And, of course, the Sunday. He did the Sunday night service, too, for a while. But so few people show up on a Sunday night, he finally just said, you know what, we're going to... Because he lived way out in West Phoenix. So far in West Phoenix, I call it East L.A. And what a drive that was for him every day just to go to his job, then go home, clean up, and come back for a Wednesday night service, and then do the Sunday thing. I mean, I don't know how he did it, but he did. And he was always happy. He was always filled with joy. I never saw him mad. I never saw him angry. He was he touched my life in ways that I guess maybe nobody else has spiritually. So, Tony, I know you're looking down. I love you, brother, and I appreciate everything you ever did. And every time I ever failed you, I'm sorry. So, when you go to church Sunday, maybe you're part of a mega church. Maybe money's not a problem. They got every kind of ministry for kids and whatnot. And okay, still pray for your pastor. But if you happen to be a member of a smaller congregation, now I will say this: if you have a congregation of 50 families, okay, and each family actually did tithe 10% of their earnings, that pastor could live a very good life. So if you're part of a smaller church and you're not doing your part financially, I can't encourage you enough. You cannot outgive God. See, He's God, so He's got this God-sized shovel. As you shovel it out, He shovels it back in. That's how it works. God doesn't bless you just so you can be blessed. He blesses you so you can be a blessing to other people. Now, I know some people will go, oh, that 10% thing, that's Old Testament. Yeah, I know it, that's in Malachi, but you read the New Testament. Okay? Render unto God what is God's. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Okay? That means pay your tithe, pay your taxes. That's exactly what that means. So, that person has given their life to the ministry. And if somebody like you doesn't show them that they're appreciated, not just financially, but by, going up to see them at the end of the service and say, Pastor, that was an awesome sermon. I got a lot out of that. I'd like to ask you a question. You could really make a huge difference in the life of that pastor and that church by just doing your part. All right. Send your money before midnight tonight and we get it sooner. Just kidding. Bottom line, pray for your pastor, encourage them, appreciate them, let them know that their work matters. Not just to you, but to God. And when you do, Scripture assures us that God will bless you for it. And that's our good word for today. Thanks for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell. Oh, come on, man. Come on, Jack. That ain't gonna work either. Yesterday it took 4 tries. Oh, we got it on a 3rd try today. Okay. I can live with that. See you tonight.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.